Overwatch 2 has had a troubled development cycle to say the least, with many plans being drastically changed or outright cancelled. With PvE getting cancelled and effectively the entire lore team getting laid off from Team 4, the story of Overwatch has an uncertain future ahead of it. We finally got some glimpses of where it was going to go, but we no longer have any progress in sight, and that's very disappointing as someone who has been following these characters for the better part of a decade. So instead of moping around and wondering what could have been, I decided to do something about it. Introducing Where Are They Now, a new series where I will be continuing the story and lore of individual characters. These are all just ideas, and by no means do I think that they have to take these characters in these directions. It's a creative exercise and it's all just for fun. This episode is going to be about the Ice Queen herself, Mei. I chose Mei because she is a character that isn't particularly important in the grand history of Overwatch lore, but has been set up quite nicely to expand it, as she is seemingly a main member of the new Overwatch crew going off of the 0 Hour cinematic. She has some established backstory, but much of her story is yet to be told, and that makes her a great first candidate. First though, some ground rules. 1. I want characters to grow and to change. It isn't enough that they go to new places and meet new people, but how do those experiences affect them and why? 2. There will be no retconning. If it's canon, it goes. As for the future, that's where I'll have a little bit more creative freedom. 3. Let's try to keep this as realistic as possible. Mercy isn't going to randomly get shot and just be killed for the rest of time. We're looking for interesting conflict, not shock value. With those out of the way, let's go ahead and start with the aforementioned 0 Hour cinematic and the attack on Paris. As you may remember, Mei was one of 3 members initially on that mission, as Tracer, Mei, and Winston were the only Overwatch members at that time. Mei was very eager to help out in any way possible, although she was a little apprehensive about their ability to perform the task with just 3 people. Eventually, as things got dicey, other members of old Overwatch would come help and save the day off the back of Mei's quick thinking to basically make a big ice bomb in that giant Omnic. But even in their victory, Mei, as observant as she is, took note of 2 things. First, the combined forces of Overwatch were much more capable than she could have initially dreamed, and were able to efficiently eliminate the citywide threat. Second, and most importantly, she became a little concerned about the light snow flurry that descended onto Paris after the destruction of the large Omnic. One quick-second decision that she made caused a natural weather event, which was not something that she had anticipated. She acknowledges the size and scope of it were quite small, and saves the thought for later to focus on the reunion and damage control for the city. But these thoughts began to creep back up again during her mission in Rio. The destruction caused by Null Sector was much greater than anything she had seen before. Houses reduced to rubble, natural habitats destroyed, and wildlife struggling to seek refuge. She contemplates what she is witnessing throughout the battle, but it isn't until the inevitable victory where her current thought process is flipped upside down. The destruction of the Omnic ship over Rio leads to it crashing into the city and its surrounding environment. Mei recognizes that Overwatch is directly responsible for what is basically eco-terrorism and revisits those thoughts from Paris. Overwatch is a super team of very capable and potentially dangerous individuals. She has now twice witnessed the potential harm that Overwatch can be directly responsible for, and that is at odds with her whole life's work. And as the team expands with more and more members, the fear only deepens that Overwatch and this ensuing war with Null Sector could have severe ecological effects. So after a couple more missions, including the siege in Toronto, Mei takes a step back from the front line in order to pursue helping the preservation of the planet in these times of war, specifically continuing her research on preventing weather-related disasters, man-made or otherwise. Toronto is a good example of this, as being able to control the blizzard that hit during the mission would help Overwatch minimize casualties both for the team and in terms of collateral damage. So Mei, with the backing of the new Overwatch, set out across the globe investigating these ecological phenomenons and attempting to revitalize the Eco Point program she had once been a part of. One of these locations she would travel to is the Shambhala Monastery in Nepal. Not only do the snowy mountaintops provide her with consistent data, she is able to connect with the monks and help develop technology to better hide their location through storms should they need to become a place of wartime refuge. While at the monastery, Mei meets a new face studying there, Niran Pruksamani, otherwise known as Lifeweaver. His good friend Symmetra recommended he seek asylum from Vishkar here, as she has already had experience with the monastery. May and Lifeweaver find a common interest in protecting the environment of the planet, and May tries to convince him to join her in Overwatch. After some initial hesitation out of fear of being found, he ultimately gives in, banking on the resources of Overwatch to expand his use of BioLite. They established many eco points around the world, including under the Galapagos Islands, focused on using BioLite to heal and restore coral reefs and reintroduce thriving ecosystems across the world. While developing these stations across the globe, there was some interest in researching extraterrestrial options to deal with these destructive weather systems. Having just reunited with Juno, May asks her to join her in studying storms on Mars. She would also be observing how life is maintained on a planet where resources are limited at the colony. This was filmed before Juno got any of her lore, so take some of this with a grain of salt. Juno actually refuses her offer as she is content with exploring a whole new planet and interacting with Overwatch. Immediately going back to Mars does not sit well with her. May attempts to push back on this out of fear of just having swept Juno up into a potentially dangerous situation with Overwatch, but is unsuccessful. Since she has already made the arrangements, May is forced to leave for Mars with the lingering fear that Juno may be in over her head. Upon arriving to the Red Planet, May reunites with Jai Yi, who has been leading research operations on the planet since she's been there. May relays back to her that Juno has found a liking to Overwatch, and this upsets Jai Yi, who fears for her child's safety from a completely different planet. She then goes on to scold May for not protecting her daughter, and this creates a division between the two women. Over the course of May's short visit to Mars, Jai Yi and her make excellent progress, and May proves her prowess in her field. It is with this knowledge that Jai Yi convinces May to give up her spot on the return trip home, desperate to save her child. This would leave May with the duty to oversee the operations on Mars. It isn't until the ship leaves that May wonders if she had lost sight, both professionally and personally, of her original goal, as she is now isolated on a distant planet. If anything were to happen to Earth, not only would she not be there to help, she's in the comfort of a completely different planet, safe from the troubles of her home. Being the sole survivor does not bring back any good memories for her. She wonders how she'll be able to return from this setback, and is there even any meaningful time to do so? Who knows? We'll have to wait until Overwatch 3 for that one, I guess. On that note, that is going to do it for this video. If you made it this far, what do you think of this series' format? I'm trying to get everything just right, and this is a first trial. And while we're at it, who do you want to see next? Also, if you wouldn't mind doing all that good YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, it does really help me out. I really appreciate all the feedback. If you want to see more of me, I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/LaneHemingways. That's going to be Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Be sure to check those out. And if you want to send me any hot takes, rework ideas, or just want to talk Overwatch, join my Discord. It's in the link below. Thank you guys so much for the support on this one. Have a good day.